Welcome back to the relationship series where we have transformational conversations that help us to revolutionize our relationships. Here we do the work, we heal for real, and we sow what we want to grow. We have been gone for too long. We are in season 7. I don't know. I can't even believe it. And we have a sizzling summer season 7 for you. We're going to be doing top tens because they're just fun and they're easy to follow and easy to remember. Um, and I think that in all of the top tens that we have, you will definitely see yourselves and be able to take some things away. They are very much based in my personal experiences with my own lived experience, as well as with clients and friends and so on. So I want you guys to just sort of buckle up and be in the space, be present. Um, and if you see yourself, take away the quick tips that are offered and practical examples and so on. So if you guys have been present for any of the other seasons, um, we have usually done sort of a PowerPoint presentation type of vibe, but we're switching it up a little bit. So we're going to be on the couch, just sort of hanging out and talking. So I am interruptible. I welcome and invite you guys to throw some things in the chat. I have my chat up here. And then if you guys want to turn on your mics, you can do so and interrupt at any point and just chat. Say hello, if you will. Or just jump in. If something kind of hits you, resonates with you, you can definitely turn on your mics and chat with me because it's a conversation at the end of the day. Um, Today, wow, we are starting with one of the most common, if not the most common, like sneaky little beliefs that keep us, I believe, unhappy and stuck in our lives. And it's really subtle, and I think a lot of us have accepted them, and most of us don't even think about it. I confront this almost every day with my clients. I know you guys are like, "What is it, Jen?" Glad you asked. It is the idea that many of our quirks, our characteristics, our traits, our personality types that sometimes we wear as badges of honor, sometimes we wear as like identity markers, um, are actually trauma responses. So the things that we learn to do and practice in response to hard life stuff. That's pretty much what I'm talking about. So, what a trauma response is. So, if you've ever started a sentence with, like, I'm just not that kind of person, or I'm just not like that, or it's just who I am, or any kind of just sentence, you've probably encountered some kind of personality fused with some kind of trauma response. So, okay. So we're going to talk about them today, and I'm going to use the just statements because I have heard myself say these statements over and over and over in my life. I remember when this became um, clearer to me, not super clear, but clearer to me. Like I had to stop myself and take stock. I used to do musicals and stage productions. Some of you guys might remember. And I loved it. And one day, we were doing a dress rehearsal, and there was a wardrobe person, and they had to get the actors ready to come back on stage for their cues. And the actor was not on stage when I told the lighting people to like bring the lights up. And I'm telling you, like, I flipped out on the wardrobe person because they didn't get the actress changed in time and back out for the next scene. And she was like, I need more time. And I was like, you need to do your job. That's what you need to do. And my excuse was like, I'm really organized. I have things planned out. I like order. I like things to run on schedule, and nothing is wrong with that inherently, right? Not, wanting to have things run on time and in order and whatnot. But when when it is coming from a place of like over control, right? Because I've not learned like to be human and flexible, then it's not okay, right? And I had to sit back and realize, like, Jen, something is going on here that's more than just you have a value for organization, order, planning, and things to run on time. Like it's coming from a different kind of place. It's coming from a different source. Um, and so I thought about it, and I've been doing this work for a long, long time now, and I still have lots of things, and we're going to talk about them today. But I think what I took away from that was two things. One was hope, right? Because I mean, all of our flaws and all of the things that we notice are either hindering us or blocking us from getting what we want in life are areas for potential growth. So if we see it, if we notice it, if it's pointed out to us, then it's an opportunity, right? So that's number one. And then number two, I think what it meant for me was that I was in a position to take responsibility. So um, I wasn't willing to make excuses or continue to make excuses. I I think and I heard this quote, this was recently. I think I really aligned with this. Like we're not necessarily responsible for what happened to us, right? Like we may not have caused what happened, but we are responsible to do something about it and to do something based on what has happened to us, right? That's our responsibility. We may not have caused it, but we do have to respond well to it. So this is part of my response. And then you'll get to see um, how we've grown over time. So this is our top 10 traumas that we call personality. Okay. And most of what we call personality, again, is what we've done to survive what happened to us. Okay. And let me say this first. So trauma masquerading as personality is like so worth calling out instead of letting it continue because in our relationships, it can wreak havoc. And we might not even realize or notice or know why certain things keep coming up and why like we might not be able to be clear about our needs or we may not um feel or we may continue to feel resentment or we may not feel loved or like these
Remember
kinds
what
of things
I'm
that
Melissa?
really erode relationships, so it's worth
Remember
talking
what
about. And
Melissa? You
also
know,
disclaimer, um most of these are personal, so if you relate, which I believe you can, please let me know so I don't feel
now
so.
go drop me back then make I go buy
Oh, somebody's
power
in the
shop
chat.
or
Who's
five
here with us?
time $50 girl. I
Uh,
say I want to drop me bike then make I go me buy power shop or swipe for
how
fifty
do I
dollars
mute
then.
you? I don't know how to do this.
Oh shit.
How do I mute this person, guys? Let's see. Okay. So if you guys are, I think I did it. Did I do it? If you guys have your mics on, then, um, and you're not chatting with me, just mute, please and thank you. All right, top 10, guys. Number 10. And I did these in statements that I actually say. These are things, these are words that I actually say, guys. I just don't do feelings. I just don't do feelings. Now, I used to say when I was younger, don't let your feelings govern your actions. Okay. So uh, it meant that I was a logical person. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't out of control. And I think that I received a lot of reinforcement for this. So being a control poised person who's cool, calm, collected, has it together, doesn't fly off the handle, that kind of thing, a lot of reinforcement. I think society does reinforce this as well, but we have to understand, and maybe I'll say a couple of things um, of how it might manifest as well. Like being logical is probably the most celebrated trait amongst men. Like men are like, we're not emotional, we're just logical. And that's such a lie, but we'll get into that in a second. But I think we've adopted it and claimed it as part of personality when it can come out of really dangerous, harmful places. And so here, some places that it might come out of: an invalidating environment. So an environment where you express something, you might have cried, you might have been hurt, you may have been angry or upset, and you were told you're too emotional, you're overreacting. That is an invalidating environment. And so out of that place, we may have told ourselves, you know what? My emotions, my feelings are not permitted. They're not allowed. They're not okay. And so I'm going to stuff them down. I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to mask them. I'm going to cover them up and hide them because they're not welcome here. And in order for me to get the approval and the appreciation or the acceptance or the celebration that I want in this environment, I'm going to have to get rid of those emotions, right? Those expressions. And an invalidating environment where you're too emotional, you're overreacting, you're too much, all of that can really influence our value for relationship and our value for emotions and feelings and our willingness to develop them as well as to express them and share them with other people in a vulnerable way. So I just don't do feelings is, I believe, a trauma response at times. And it comes out of this sort of unwanted place where I don't want to be seen as too emotional or weak. I want to be seen as logical and in control. And this was me. These are real statements, okay? I'm always fine. I remember I was probably in my 20s and I was at a family event and my aunt was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "I'm fine." And she said, "Oh, you're always fine." And I just remember thinking, isn't that what we're supposed to be? Are we supposed to always be fine? Like, what else am I supposed to be other than fine? Because if I'm anything else other than fine, it's not okay. So I'm supposed to be fine. And so I learned that that's the appropriate response, right? And so honesty about how I'm actually doing or how I'm actually feeling, yeah, no, we don't do that. That's not acceptable here, right? So always fine. And I didn't cry. I thought crying was like a no-no. Like it was weakness, it was bad, it was just not cool to cry. And I have two examples of this. My brother was killed in the summer and um oh my goodness, God rest his soul. Um, this was years and years ago, but I remember the day of, I was scheduled to preach at a conference, at a youth conference. And let me tell y'all, I got up, I preached at that conference, and I did not cry at all. I didn't even cry at the funeral. I didn't cry. We went about scheduling and planning, all of the things. I didn't cry one tear, guys. Like this is how emotionally suppressed I was. Um, at the funeral, I remember there was a point, I did the eulogy for my brother's funeral, and there was a point just at the end of the eulogy where my voice cracked because I was feeling it. Like I was just, oh, but I'm trying to contain myself. I'm like, no, 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 no. And my voice cracked, and I was like, nope, that's not what we do. We don't do tears. We don't do crying. That's not a thing. Oh my goodness. Like I look back and I'm just like, sorry. I just want to apologize. I just want to apologize to my younger self that I just kept so constrained and under control. Um, but yeah, so this is real stuff. So very, 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 very controlled. I used to talk about feelings a lot, so very intellectual about feelings, right? I know a lot about feelings, but I don't experience them or allow myself to experience them or express them, right? I didn't trust them, and I also didn't know much about how to process them. And so there was a lot of like unknowns, unpredictability, um, and fear around feelings as well. So very real examples, very, very, very honest. If you guys can relate, let me know. But yeah, crying is weakness, always fine, all that kind of stuff. And the truth is that this type of so-called personality trait is emotional repression and suppression. That's what it is. And one of the tips that I have used in recent years to mitigate against this and to remind myself that it's actually not helpful is to picture myself storing rotten fruit and or storing fruit in a corner and then it
Those are
rotting.
supposed to get and put
That's
it in the
the
bag in
idea.
there.
Like,
Thanks, and your bag away.
um,
And I'll be ready in 2 minutes.
oh,
We
hold
got
on, I'm
waffles.
gonna mute you. So the idea is that when we suppress or repress our emotions, we store them and they become rotten and they start to affect and impact us and hijack our ability to live healthy, fulfilling lives, right? So this is like, mental health and emotional health issues and all that relational health issues show up out of that space because there's something like rotting in the corner. And so my tip is Explore, don't store. So explore the emotions, explore the feelings, don't store them up because it's just not helpful, right? And so that's our number 10. Number 10, I just don't do feelings, and it's emotional repression. Um, and learn vulnerability, explore versus store our feelings. Okay. This is so great. Um, and again, guys, you guys can shout me out anytime you feel like it. Tell me if this has been like a thing for you, if you don't do feelings, or if you've ever been told that you're highly emotional or reacting or to anything, really. Okay, number 9. Oh, I'm just a type A personality. I'm just type A. I'm just super organized and super well planned and all the things. Okay. I like things done a certain way, right? These guys, I'm not joking. These are actual words that I said, that I say, and that I sometimes still say. So I think this is a badge of honor because it was very highly rewarded and reinforced at work and at school. And so if I'm highly organized and I'm structured and highly controlled, I got pats on the back. It's like, oh, good job. So, obviously there's nothing wrong with it if I got pats on the back for it. Wrong. Um, I think there's danger in this because we celebrate something that comes out of a source of harm or pain. And some of what where this can come from, um, potentially, and you guys can sort of take stock and look back in your own personal experiences. But if you lived in or grew up in somewhat of like a chaotic environment, so an environment where there may have been abuse, there may have been violence, there may have been a lot of conflict, there may have been a lot of moving around. So instability may have been a part of that. Um, so an environment where you didn't have a lot of control, or even an environment where you didn't have a lot of privacy, that could be the case as well. And so you didn't feel like you had autonomy, you didn't have control over yourself, over your life, over your decisions. Um, that could then trigger or influence a pendulum swing, right? So I didn't have a lot of control and now I want a lot of control. And so the structure and the control and the organization, all of that becomes a measure of safety, it becomes safe for you to be in highly controlled environments. And again, very much celebrated in our society. I saw a show, no lie, a lady was um, hired to organize closets. And so she like color coded the clothing in the closet and she had like all these special ways of folding so that you could like get more things into the drawer. And she had everything just coded and it was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. But I thought, my goodness, like there's barely any room for like spontaneity and the messiness of life and the flexibility and the impulsivity and stuff like that. Like the beauty of being free in life. And so we miss out on that part when we're overly controlled because we've experienced chaos in the past. Um, and so I noticed this in myself, and I have a few examples when it comes to how it showed up in my behavior. Micromanaging was an actual thing for me. I remember when I was in elementary school, we had to do group projects, and no word of a lie, we would do group projects. I would do everybody's work. We would have a report due, and we would assign different parts of the report. Like, you research this, you research this. I would do all of them just in case anybody didn't do theirs. Or I would be like on the other, like, did you do your report? Did you do your report? And I would be like asking questions and making sure that I found out that they did their part of the report up until the due date, like micromanaging ridiculous levels. Um, but it was helpful for me, right? Because I could control. It was something that I felt like I could control. And this is out of my own, background and my own personal experience with abuse and so on that I've processed since then. Overscheduling is a thing. It's still a thing. I've been learning to get out of that. So just having a lot of things in the schedule on the calendar, a lot of to-do lists, very inflexible. Um, it's just things have to be done like a certain way at a certain time. It just no room for humanness in all of it. This was another thing that I used to say like to myself, maybe not out loud. If I don't do it, it's not going to get done. If I don't do it, it's not going to get done. What a lie. What an absolute lie. Like, it'll get done. Like, we just have to learn how to communicate, how to delegate, how to support others, how to rely on others. Like, these are skills that I'm learning now in my life. But like, this is years ago, I'd be like, no, if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. I got to do it. And yes, there have been times in my life when I haven't done things and then I thought, my goodness, I really wish this could have been done. But did I ask for it? Did I set my expectation? No, I didn't. I was just like hoping against hope that somebody else would do it. You know what I mean? So there are ways to get our needs met. But this is just an example of how I've grown out of this sort of personality, uh, this stuck personality place. Fixing, rescuing, oh, that was just like a thing. It's still part of a thing for me, especially in romantic relationships. Rescuing is like my MO. I'm recovering, guys. I'm recovering. But rescuing is a thing, and it's part of that having control over the situation, over the outcomes of the situations, avoiding disappointment, avoiding potential hurt, all of that stuff, right? So very, very highly controlled, organized type A personality vibe. And the truth is, again, control does feel like safety, but it is oftentimes overfunctioning. And we have to learn how to find balance and beauty in the pace of grace. And that is from a place of healing as opposed to a place of trauma or a place of woundedness. And it's important for us to recognize that this has to do with the source, where the thing came from, where the personality trait came from. And so I recognize that a lot of my behaviors came from a place of woundedness. So my tip for this is connection over control. So be curious, connect with people, um, look to sort of sit at Jesus's feet. So for those of us who read the Bible, who have read the Bible, there's a story of Mary and Martha, and Jesus goes over to their house. And I think it's Mary that sits at Jesus's feet, and she's just like basking in his presence. She's spending time with Jesus, whereas Martha's like in the kitchen hustling and bustling and trying to figure out, how to serve the bread or whatever. And Jesus was like, you need to chill and connect with me. Like I'm here now, kind of thing. And I noticed this pretty recent last year. I had planned a birthday celebration for a friend of mine, and I was so concerned about everything going to plan, people showing up on time, the food being where it needs to be, all of that kind of stuff. I was so concerned that it hindered me, like it blocked me from actually connecting with my friend whose birthday I was there to celebrate. I was like, what is this? This is not even like, this is not right. You know what I mean? So connection over control is my tip for that, right? So move in that direction so that you don't allow control to hijack or steal your ability to be present in the spaces that you have an opportunity and a privilege to be in. Okay, I thought these would go a lot faster, but they're not. Number 8. Okay, this is one of my favorites. And if you've been around me, if you were around me when I was younger, you would have heard this. I just can't take foolishness. I just can't take foolishness. With that attitude too. So this also sounds like I have really high standards. People can't be trusted, or people are cray cray out in these streets. Like that sort of vibe, right? The sort of like one strike you're out, or you're canceled. Hashtag canceled, right? Like this very harsh, um, fast, quick and fast way of cutting people off and rejecting people or distancing the self from people. So this is, I think, one of the things that can be easily misconstrued because it can sound like confidence. It can sound like, oh, I know my worth. Oh, I know my value. I'm going to get what I deserve. It can come across like confidence and having strong boundaries. But I think and this is personal. I think part of the root is fear. It's fear of being hurt, fear of rejection, um, and I think also like like betrayal, like being betrayed by someone, being told something and it turning out not to be true. So I think we have to check again, check the root of some of these strong behaviors, right? Rigidness and so on. My behaviors were like overthinking. And so like what do they mean by that? Like what is that? What is that like, you know, um did they really say what they meant or kind of just thinking about things after the fact? Like why am I doing that? It's too much. Cut off, of course, extreme cut off, like cold as ice. When I was in high school, they used to call me Ice Queen. I would like, you upset me? Tomorrow I'm walking by you like I have never seen you before in my life. We could have been at a sleepover on the weekend, and I am walking by you like I don't know you, like you weren't even born, like you don't even exist. Like this hyper vigilance for cutoff. Another thing that showed up for me was surface connections. So not going too deep, not being too vulnerable, or making space for other people, but not taking up space, right? So listening a lot to other people, but not necessarily sharing. That for me was a thing. Um, Unrealistic expectations, that was a big one for me as well. And so expecting people to show up in ways that they're not equipped to show up. Like not everybody's going to be able to be there for you to answer the call or to answer the text every single time. It's just not going to happen. And because they don't answer doesn't mean that they don't like you, they don't love you, or they're never going to be there for you again. It just means that they weren't available this time. Right. But I would take things to the absolute extreme. Oh, you don't, okay, fine. Oh, it's going to be like that. Okay, fine. And so rejecting before you can be rejected, highly guarding the heart, withholding is a big one, withholding affection. And so, maybe you're upset, but you don't know how to say or you don't want to say you're upset. And so you just kind of you're very aloof, just like, yeah, whatever. Oh, I got this new job. Oh, that's great. Instead of like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Let's go celebrate, so very aloof. So just cut off on every level, emotional cutoff, physical cutoff, like stay away from me, relational cutoff, of course, canceling. So that this can come across as I know what I want and what my worth is, but it can also be from a root of trauma and distress and hurt and pain and fear, and overprotection, and all of that stuff. So just check it and see where the root is. Because the truth is, high standards can be rooted in self-worth, but they can also be rooted in fear and mistrust or trust issues for others, and self-protection. So one tip: offer grace and be open to risk. Okay, so take the risk to be human as well as to accept others as human. And then offer grace. People make mistakes. You make mistakes. I make mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? We are not perfect beings. So offer grace. Offer grace when people make mistakes, and then offer yourself grace when you make mistakes, right? And then also just be open to the risk, taking the risk as a human being and inviting another flawed human being into your life, into your world, to know you and for you to know them. I think that's highly beneficial for building revolutionary relationships. All right, number 7. Oh, this is a big one. I think is it Neo? I think it's Neo. I'm just independent, highly, fiercely independent, Miss Independent. And I think this is actually celebrated in our society, especially for women, right? Being independent. Don't rely on nobody else. You got this, that kind of thing. I don't need anyone. I prefer myself. I don't need a man. I like being alone. All these variations. You do you, I do me. And I think that, again, we have to be very, very careful and very, very mindful because this can come from um, not wanting to be seen as needy. And neediness has a very negative connotation in our society. But the reality is, we need each other. That's just the truth. We need each other. And so, one of the things that I noticed, especially in working with clients and in evaluating and reflecting on my own life, is that when we grow up in environments where there's neglect or where there is a silence around our needs or a lack of active enthusiastic movement toward meeting our needs, then we can start to embody and internalize that same reaction to ourselves and deny ourselves our own needs. And so we become highly independent because we rely on ourselves as opposed to relying on someone else because we believe that there's not going to be anybody to meet our needs. No one is around to meet my needs, right? And so when we get to the place where no one was there when I needed them, I'm going to rely on myself and sort of do my own thing. Then um, we can start what's the word? Like we can almost start uh like not seeing. We can almost start, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. We almost don't see when others are trying to show up for us and be there for us, right? So these are some things that I've said. See if you see yourself in it. No, 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 it's okay, I got it. No, 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 it's okay, I got it. And this shows up for me, like if someone's trying to help me with my groceries, if I'm out with my friend group and the bill comes, I'm like, no, 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 it's okay, I got it. It's okay. Right? Because I can't even deal with the feeling of like, no, I don't need your help. I'm learning, I'm still growing, guys, seriously. But sometimes I'm just like, no, I don't need your help. I got this. I got me. And it is so off-putting because at the end of the day, we're meant to be connected and to help and support one another, but we can't if we're pushing each other away. So, um, for me, it was hard to ask for and accept help. Um, this is a big one. I work alone because I just can't. I just can't. I can't with managers. I can't with bureaucracy. I just can't. I'm a whole entrepreneur out in these streets working by myself because I just can't. It's a trauma response, right? Because, oh my goodness, what if I rely on somebody and they let me down? So what? What if you rely on somebody and they don't let you down? What if I try to belong and they exclude me? So what? What if you try to belong and they include you? You know what I mean? Like we have to look, and I have been supported, included, um, and I received help many more times than I've not. But those times when I have been let down and I have felt unsupported and I have been excluded, have hurt so much that I've just wanted to avoid any potential for it reoccurring, for it happening again. And so the highly independent personality trait comes out, but it comes from that place of pain and that place of hurt. And so I want us to be able to recognize the truth, right? And this happened the other day, actually. I was sick. I was not doing well, and I wouldn't call or text anybody. I was like, nope, I got this. I got me. I'm going to take care of myself. And nope, mm-mm. And I'm like, but Jen, come on, right? And so this is an appeal, right? I'm saying it from my personal experience, but it's also an appeal if you see this or notice this in yourself. So the truth is, it's attachment and abandonment trauma. And yes, you do need people. We all need people. God made people, and God made people. We are created for relationships. Okay? And so interdependence is not a weakness. Interdependence is wisdom. It is wise to be interdependent and to build and to rely on and to be a participant in community. Okay? That's how we are created. And that's how we get to fulfill our purpose in the earth. And so I would say to challenge, this is my tip, challenge ideas and frames and narratives around interdependence or relying on others or trusting others as weakness. So start to challenge some of those ideas and start to redefine what interdependence can look like for you. Okay, that's number 7. Number 6, you probably said this, just like I've said this. I don't do drama. I don't do drama. Okay, so I don't do drama. Some of us say things like I'm non-confrontational, good vibes only, I'm protecting my peace, or I just don't have the bandwidth for that right now, right? We say things like this. I've heard these things, no word of a lie. So the badge of honor that I think society offers us from this place is uh, we are seemingly calm. We're seemingly calm. We don't ruffle feathers, right? We're just kind of like coasting through life. And I think that is attractive on some level. But I also think it can signify or signal high withdrawal. So when we withdraw from ourselves, when we distance from other people, we can appear regulated and calm, but it's because we're not connected to other people and we don't have to employ any kind of, connection skills. So here's the root. We didn't learn how to deal with conflict. So if we didn't learn how to deal with conflict, then we are going to avoid conflict at all costs. We don't know how to deal with arguments. We don't know how to recover. And so, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we raising our voices? Why are we arguing? We need to avoid, walk away, refuse, cancel, all the things. We don't do drama. Some behaviors that I've noticed, ghosting instead of asking questions or instead of expressing ourselves honestly. Ghosting is such a thing these days, and um, I think it can come out of a place of like, the online dating space or the online dating world, um, where we realize that people are just not for us. We no longer want to continue getting to know this person, and so we ghost. But like, why not just say I don't want to get to know you anymore and then just have the person know, you know what I mean? Like it's just these weird behaviors, these like maladaptive weird behaviors that we do in relationships. So ghosting I think is part of that. I've never ghosted anybody. I don't really block or delete or anything. But I've heard of that happening for sure. um Expressing ourselves honestly, blocking, sorry, expressing ourselves dishonestly. Blocking is a thing. So blocking like numbers and things like that. Um, Deflecting, sometimes like dishonesty is a thing. Like cracking jokes, being sarcastic, you know, mm, just not being honest, right? Blaming, so it's everyone else's fault instead of mine, or everyone is a narcissist, or I've heard this word so many times, and nobody is qualified out here. Not nobody, but a lot of people who are using this term are not qualified to be diagnosed with this particular personality disorder. Please stop. Please. Please stop calling yourself a narcissist. Stop calling other people a narcissist. Please just stop. So everybody else is to blame except for me. So this is I just don't do drama. You're trouble, you're drama. Okay. Um, yes, we need to communicate with people. Absolutely. Goodness. Thank you, Simone, for sure. Who we're no longer interested in instead of initially ghosting them. Yes, we do. Like they're human beings, just like you. You would like the common courtesy of someone telling you exactly what is up instead of just disappearing. You don't even know what happened. Right? Like we need to come to a place where we're valuing ourselves and each other as humans and treating ourselves as such with that level of value and honor. So the truth is, relationships include recovery and repair, and they're not always, peachy king and flowers and rainbows and roses and whatnot. They require repair and recovery and conflict resolution because we're talking about dealing with a whole other human being. Okay, so we need to avoid. I just don't do drama. And we need to lean into, and this is my tip, learning to tolerate discomfort. That's a big one. Most of us, we feel something and we're like, no, 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 we got to get rid of this really quickly. We got to go. So learning to tolerate discomfort, because some things are just uncomfortable and we have to have hard conversations and they are hard inherently and they're not going to feel good. So we got to learn how to tolerate, up our tolerance level. And then we also need to learn to resolve and recover from conflict properly. Okay, so healthfully in a way that allows for both individuals to maintain their dignity. So get rid of like criticisms and insults and all this like calling you out your name and violence and throwing things. And come on, guys, we're past that. Let's do better. Okay, let's do better. Um, we can learn how to express ourselves honestly, and move towards a place of recovery while we also take care of ourselves and the other person. If we want to maintain relationship with that person and we want to care for the relationship itself, we'll learn. We'll learn. And I'm still learning. I'm not there yet at all, but I'm still learning how to do this whole resolving and recovery and conflict, resolution stuff. But yeah, we're getting there. So that's number six. I just don't do drama. Personality as trauma. Number five, I'm just a people pleaser. I've heard this a lot of times. I don't know if I'm a people pleaser, but I do like peace. So that might be a thing. Other variations. I'm a peacekeeper. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I just like to see people happy. I want to be nice, helpful, kind, easygoing, agreeable, all the things. Those are all variations of I'm a people pleaser. Root might be um, punishment or shame around autonomy. So if you had an opinion, I remember when I was a kid, and many of you, if you guys come from a similar cultural background, you may have heard children must be seen and not heard, or don't talk back, right? And so we were trying to voice our opinion or explain or share something, and it was don't talk back. Whatever mom or dad says is the final say, and that's the only thing that matters. That kind of environment can actually turn into um, feelings around sh or shameful feelings around being your own person, around having your own ideas, around um, sort of developing your own sense of self. So we have to recognize that the ways in which we were responded to at times trigger like again a pendulum swing and a personality development that is harmful. And so we turn to people pleasing, we turn to agreeableness, like, oh, okay, we turn to like even giving in, just giving into things that we don't want, we don't like, giving into like peer pressure, stuff like that. Like I think it's important for us to like know where this comes from. Um, Part of it can be fear of people leaving or fear of people getting mad or fear of people not liking us. I think that comes out as well. So we're like trying to please, we're trying to like discern and figure out like what are they gonna like? What are the things that I might say or not say that's gonna trigger them or whatever. Like we're trying to mitigate and trying to keep everything, okay. So we have to look at where that people pleasing is coming from. If we have a genuine desire to be generous and to be giving and serving, okay, fine. But we have to look at the root, right? Because if there's like a fear on the inside of us, like we need to check that. That's not a personality trait. That's a trauma response, right? Um, let's see. Candy, ghosting is a cowardly act, in my opinion. Yes, absolutely. Mature adults understand that it is uncomfortable to share with someone that a relationship may not be possible. Yes, it is uncomfortable. It is. That's part of the game plan. However, social media has made it quite easy for humans to feed their fears of conflict, however they may look. Absolutely. Because social media gives us a measure of what is the word? Anonymity. Anonymity. Like we can hide on social media. We can ghost, we can click off, we can delete our profiles, all that kind of stuff. We don't even have to be the real person behind the profile. We can catfish, right? So there's so much opportunity for that. We demand respect while devaluing another's worthiness of an explanation. Absolutely. My goodness. And this is part of the do unto others doctrine. Like if you don't want somebody to do that to you, like grow a pair, and don't do that to somebody else. Like just come on. It doesn't take that long. I've seen text messages like, you know what? I don't think this is gonna work out. Let's not talk anymore. Like it's like 16 lines, 16 words. Like that's all it takes. Don't ghost. Just you can go on what do you call those chat GPT and whatever. Hey, how to not be part of this relationship anymore, or whatever. Give me a script. I mean, it's so easy today. Let's use these means and methods for good so that we can honor one another and honor ourselves as well. And guys, karma is a beast. So don't do that and not expect things to come back around. You understand? Let me see. Behaviors. Ooh, yeah. So I've done this, and I'm sure you guys have done this too. Saying yes when you really don't want to. You really want to say no. Like on the inside, you're screaming no, but on the outside, you're like, okay, sure, why not? Oh, man, how many times have I done that and just like completely disregarded my internal desire? Woo! People pleasing at work. I didn't think I was a people pleaser until this. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I am kind of a little bit, sort of sometimes, but not really. Apologizing a lot, overthinking like texts and emails and stuff. It takes you like half an hour to send a 6-word email. Like it's a lot. Trust yourself. Trust yourself, right? Um, or saying no with a long explanation. That's not a thing. I can say no. I've done this. Going along to get along sometimes. I've stayed at a party or a gathering, I guess it was, yeah, a gathering, social gathering, um, past the time, like I said, I was gonna leave. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna go, and then I'm gonna leave at like 7:30. And then 8:30 comes around, like 9:30 comes around, but nobody else is leaving. And I don't want to like be the first one to leave. So I just stay. So I'm like, okay, is anybody else trying to leave? Like, anybody else got work tomorrow, kind of thing? But I'll stay. But I stayed, I should say. But now I won't stay because now I've learned. But I used to do that. But that's part of like people pleasing behavior. That's like, oh, I don't want anybody to like say anything about me and stuff like that. Like, oh man, like, whew, I tell you we all want to be liked. We all want to, have friends and all that kind of stuff, but we also have to honor ourselves and be honest about, what we're really thinking and feeling. So here's my tip. And the truth is, like, when we love out of fear, it's not helpful anyway. It's not going to build anything that's lasting or that's worth keeping. And so when we sort of turn things around and we start to love from a place of honor, then that builds the kinds of relationships that can sustain conflict or that can sustain us saying no or that can sustain us not showing up and still continue to thrive, right? Like did I see Candy on here? One of my bestie's weddings was years ago, and I couldn't even be there. Like, and we're still besties till today. But that might not have been the case if it was somebody else who was just like, no, you didn't come to my wedding and da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, there are some things that we take to heart and we take in, and we allow them to become the demise and destruction of our relationships. And so we have to start checking ourselves on these things. Okay, tip, say no and disagree just because. Low stakes environments, just try it, just practice it because practice makes permanent. So start saying no when you really want to say no and start disagreeing when you don't agree with what's being shared or said, right? If everybody's inviting your opinion and you have a disagreeing opinion, just state it. Don't be rude. You don't have to be all crass and anything like that, but just say it. Just like, yeah, you know what? I don't know if I really agree with that. This is my opinion. And just like have the courage to say it because nobody's going to kill you and they can't beat you. So might as well. So practice it. Um, hiding. Oh, imagine, right? Imagine God ghosted us. My goodness, it'd be terrible. Oh, we will never part. Never, never, never. Okay, number 4. Did I do number 5? Yes. Number 4, I'm a perfectionist. I've heard this a lot too. Um, Ooh, this is usually masked with like excellence. Like I just want to be excellent. I just want to be good at what I'm doing. But I think it comes from a place of like not being accepted for who we are, but having to earn love. So being accepted and approved based on what we do, what we can like accomplish, what we can achieve kind of thing. It's like performance-based love, right? If I'm lovable if I'm flawless type of thing, or if I produce good things kind of thing. So behaviors, this actually happened. I brought home like a 90+% on one of my assignments when I was a kid. And my dad, my good, good Nigerian father, was like, where's the rest? I think it was like a 96%. And he was like, where's the other 4%? You can't take a moment to just celebrate the 96? Can we take a minute to celebrate the 96? No, where's the other 4%? What's missing? So I think this kind of response, like this kind of behavior, we do to ourselves at times, right? We're like, we do something great and we're like, oh, but this didn't happen. And this is not like a self-improvement part. Like, oh, this doesn't happen. I'm evaluating, I'm reflecting, and then I'm going to do it again next time and I'm improving, right? That's a great perspective. This is like a bashing self, beating down on self part. Like, oh my God, you should have done this. And you're not looking at all the great, wonderful things that did happen, right? So we have to start balancing things out. Um, One thing, and I've experienced this, I've learned over time, I hated being new. I hated being new at something or like a rookie at something. I hated not being good at something. So when we start out things, we're just not good. We suck. Like that's what growth is about. We have to suck so that we can become better, right? But it's hard to suck because sometimes we're with people who are much better. And then we compare ourselves and we're just like, oh man, I wish I was that good already. Well, you can't be that good already because you just started. You have to go through due process. And I hated due process. Now I love due process, but it took some time. So we can't skip the due process. We can't be perfect right away. We can't do everything right. This was a saying I actually used to use. Life is my stage. If I act up, applaud. Oh my gosh, right? Validation much? Do I need much validation? Yes, definitely looking for validation. I think perfectionists need and want and crave validation, um, under the guise of like, no, I don't really need that, right? And so we have to look at ourselves and be honest with ourselves. Like, what is it that's actually going on the inside? And what's being fed, what needs are being met, or what needs are not being met, right? Um, Let me see. The truth, your self-worth is not based on performance. And a tip, and I do this now every single week, play. Just play, have fun. Have fun. Just be silly, be messy, like be unplanned, just be. And I find that doing that helps me to move away from some of the perfectionist tendencies. And again, perfectionism as a and we're using the term, right? But this idea that we can be perfect is impossible. We know that. But this idea that we have to do things so good, so well. Um, and this is not like I want to do things well. That's great. Awesome. But if it's coming from that place of like I am not going to be who I am, or I'm not going to be liked, or I'm not going to be valued, or I'm not going to be enough, if I don't do this perfectly, that's where the problem is. That's the trauma response. Okay. All right. I want to get you guys out of here on time. Okay, I'm the helper. This usually comes from like a firstborn or maybe like an only child, usually highly responsible, parentified. This is like the good child, the golden child. And I think part of where it comes from is parents who um, encourage their children to be very involved, very helpful, right? So they get the approval when they are helping, right? And so it's helping a specific way, helping their parents. And I think one of the messages that it can promote is that love is earned, it's conditional, as opposed to being loved for who we are. We're loved for what we do or how we help. And so we have to be mindful of where we are helping from. And a lot of times I hear clients say, clients say, I'm like the therapist in my friend group. I'm the person that everybody comes to get advice or to find out what to do. I'm the one who's always put together. And so that kind of caregiving role that we play at times can be from a source of trauma. It can be a response to how we had to survive because of what we went through. And so we have to be acknowledging of that and or recognize that and acknowledge that and and know if it's connected to like our level of self-worth, right? Are we caring? Are we giving? Are we generous? Are we kind? Because we are not worth anything otherwise? Or is that sort of just a genuine, trait that we've built up? And so again, we want to make the distinction. I think helping is great, but when we are like repressing our own needs, that's where it becomes harmful, right? Because we need to make sure that we're taking care of our own needs as well. And I think it also breeds resentment because then we get mad. We get mad. Nobody else is taking care of me. Nobody's concerned with me. And this example is my own, but I tended toward not being very vulnerable. And so in and amongst like most of my friendships and relationships, I would be the listener. I'd be the one. I gave a lot of space, right? And so every people could talk from now until whenever. I'd be listening and cool, great. But I didn't really share much. And so people would be like, "Oh, you don't really talk a lot." Like, or you don't really share much, or you do talk and I've known you for a long time, but I don't really know you. It's because I didn't really take up space. And I think it's important for us to recognize that that sometimes can breed resentment. And so part of my own personal work, and perhaps this can be your work as well, is to learn to take up space. And if you've cultivated relationships that haven't generally given you space or you haven't taken up space and you feel comfortable enough, right? You can start asking for space. Ask for the space so that there can be more balance in the relationship, as opposed to that skewed type of relationship where you just sit there and your needs aren't met and you meet other people's needs, right? And that might take courage. And then it also might, you know, ruffle feathers because maybe like the people you've been in a relationship with are comfortable with taking up all the space and they may not want to change. So you asking to change the rules might be offensive or, it might disrupt the natural equilibrium of the relationship. But I think it's worth having the courage to ask for. Because at the end of the day, we're moving towards this whole idea of revolutionary relationships where everybody within the relationship feels good and safe and fulfilled and supported and all that kind of stuff. So I would say take up space, and then and then if you need to, find new friends. Okay, guys, I'm going to ask you for 5 extra minutes because I've got the last two, and I'm going to breeze through them as quickly as possible. Number two, I'm just always so busy. I'm just so busy. I have so much to do, so little time. I'm such a workaholic. And then this is the Christian version: to whom much is given, much is required. But you're always tired. You're always stressed. You're always like, this is not a personality trait. This is a trauma response. Okay. And we have to look at why we're so tired, why we're overworked. And I know our society is very, very, very celebratory of us working really, really hard. We live in a capitalist wage earning society. And I think on some level, our ability to do a lot and to get a lot done and to produce a lot is like proof of our value, is proof of our worth, right? Um, Proof of our capacity. And I think it's harmful. I do think it's harmful. And I think we need to check it and recognize where it comes from. So externally and also from our own personal experiences, because sometimes we come up from cultures where rest is unsafe. Rest is not celebrated, right? We go, go, go. We got to get to we'll sleep when you're dead type of type of messaging, right? So we have to look at what kinds of messages we received and how we responded so that we could survive in those environments and even how we survive in this world. So many people are going on like wellness retreats and yoga retreats and meditation retreats and mindfulness retreats and silence and solitude retreats. And everybody has to get away from the hustle bustle and the rat race and the busy, busy. Why? Because it's not healthy. It's not healthy long term. It's not sustainable. People are dying younger. The younger people are dying about old people diseases. Like, guys, we need to take care of ourselves. And that means establishing or reestablishing a pace of grace. But that also means talking to ourselves honestly and developing a mentality that values rest, that values um, um, relaxation, or I want to say rest. I don't know if it's relaxation, but just rest, right? The value of rest and doing things at a pace of grace. Some behaviors that I've noticed: overachieving. I'm a lifetime student. I'm always studying, always taking a course, always doing a thing, always doing something, always building, always writing, always serving, always creating, always doing. And now with this whole content creation like world that we live in, oh my goodness, it's always something. It's always, always, always go, 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 go. We gotta keep up. We gotta evolve. We gotta reimagine. We gotta take a break. Just pause button. So this always busy, keep going, 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 where we reward productivity and we have like external evidence of our work, I think we need to check and recognize whether or not it's our personality, we're high energy, and we just always got a lot of things going on. It feeds us, it fuels us, it's fun for us, or if it's a trauma response, we are here because we're trying to survive and we're trying to keep up. The truth is, sometimes this can be a way to avoid ourselves, to avoid stillness. So we're always working, we always got something on the go. We're never quiet, even we always have music in the background, TV on in the background, right? Sometimes it's a way to avoid the thoughts and ideas or the memories of things that we have not dealt with, that we're still storing in the corner, right? And so we need to recognize if that is also part of our busyness and take time to address it, right? Because it's just going to keep coming up and it's going to keep on hindering us from becoming all that we are created to be. Um, so here's a tip, and I've been practicing this for the past like plus 30 days plus mindfulness, resting, of course, and being still. Mindfulness, just being present where you are without judgment, has been super helpful in doing one thing at a time, really focusing. That's been helpful for me. Um, and instead of staying distracted, like allow for the real stuff that has been buried to come up and take the time to deal with it. Yeah, I think that's a worthy pursuit for us, especially if we want to ensure that our personality traits and trauma responses are not fused together. All right, that brings me to the last one, and I'm sure that you guys have heard this before or have said this before. I know I have. It's just who I am. So I'm just a direct person. It's just who I am. I'm just always late. It's just who I am. I'm just a night person. It's just who I am. And and I think that every single healed person can look back on their lives and be like, yeah, that was me once. And every single unhealed person is probably sitting in this place right now, feeling stuck. This is just who I am. It's such a hopeless, powerless place. Like, if it's just who you are, then there's nowhere to go. There's no room. But we are humans. We grow, we evolve, we change, we learn. So it can't be just who you are. There has to be capacity, skill, room, ability, space to grow, to learn, and do something different. And I think that when we look at this phrase, like it's just who I am, we lack awareness of our capacity, our infinite capacity as human beings, right? And I think this is an indication of like our our trauma fused with, or our pain fused with identity. Like that thing that I've become, the ways that I've responded to life are now who I am. And they've come out of a place of pain. They've come out of a place of harm. They've come out of a place of trauma. And now this is just who I am. This identity that has come out of that place is who I am. No, it's not the truth. Um, Let me help with some behaviors that might come out of this place, or that might show up. So inflexibility is a big one. I used to be extremely inflexible, rigid, black and white thinking. It had to be this way or the highway. Very inflexible. This is just who I am. I don't change. No, nobody changes. This is just the way that we are. So very inflexible, very impatient, very impulsive, very judgmental. All of these traits and characteristics coming out of a place of like, this is just who I am. I'm just rude. I'm just feisty. I just say it like it is with the whole attitude, right? So we have to recognize like we are holding on to a lie, and um we're not allowing for ourselves to be aware of the possibility and the potential that we do have for change, and for beauty, right? The truth is, if we're stuck and we don't know how to evolve, heal, or survive otherwise, then we've accepted the lie. We've doubled down on it, and we need to start to uproot it. So we have to start with the truth. So my tip here is to start with the truth. The truth is, this is not just who you are or how you are. You can change. And part of it is deciding to learn, to grow, even though it's hard, and to know that you can become anybody you want. You can become anything you want. You can grow, you can evolve, you can learn skills, and turn all of these so-called traumas into personality traits that you can be proud of, and that you can use to enhance your life and your relationships. Thank you guys so much for being present and for offering me a few extra minutes of your time today. We'll be continuing to do our top 10s next week. We'll be talking about top 10 boundaries that we need to adopt because boundaries are really important for our lives. And I hope you guys will join us again. And it's gonna be a wild season 7. We got a lot going on for season 7. It's gonna be fun though. So thank you guys so much again for being here, and we'll see you next week on the relationship series. Thanks for sitting on the couch with me. Absolutely. Have a good one, guys. Oh, Zaria. Hey, Zaria. Hey, girl.
Hey.
How you doing? Oh man, I didn't even see you there.